welcome back to my channel. For those that don't know me yet, my name is Pauline, and for those that do know me, I owe you an apology. I'm really sorry I've skipped out on you for the last couple of months. I've had a bit of a rough time of it, but do you know what? I've dealt with it and I am back. And talking of time, see what I did there? This time I want to err on the side of mystery, and I have got for you 5 stories of time travel. Yes, time travel. These are 5 stories that are considered real in the time travel community. I don't know what that's called. You know, like the debate, the time travel debate. These are considered real stories. Now, I don't know whether time travel is real or not. I really kind of hope it is. And if it is, I don't know whether I would want to go far into the future and see if we do have all these flying cars that people keep talking about, which part of me just doesn't think is going to happen because, you know, at one point they thought we were going to have flying cars in 1999. That hasn't happened and I'm disappointed. I'd like a flying car. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether I'd probably safer to go into the future, wouldn't you say? Like to have a quick look. Because if it was me, if I went in the past, and if I went back, I would go and see my parents. I would probably end up doing something that just destroyed the future completely. That'd be my... I watched, going a bit off track sort of, I watched The Butterfly Effect the other day. I mean, that film's 2003. I don't know why I've never seen that film before. But yeah, that would be my luck. I would try and do something good or better something and completely destroy everybody. So yeah, we're not going to do that. So moving on, I'm going to start off with Sir Victor Goddard. Now, Sir Victor Goddard, he was a wing commander back in 1935. I nearly said 95. Back in 1935. Now, he was instructed to go and visit an inactive airbase in Drem in Edinburgh. When he got there, it was exactly as he expected to find. It was derelict, run down, abandoned. Mother Nature had taken over, so much so that there was grass coming through the runway and there were cows grazing. When he'd done a full inspection to make sure that absolutely nobody was there, he turned his plane around to head back to let his commanders know what he'd found. Now, here's where it gets weird. As he turned round and he started heading back, the weather was horrendous. He ran into this huge storm that he decided he just couldn't fly for. It wasn't safe. So the best thing to do would be to turn around, wait it out at the abandoned airbase. Only trouble is, when he turned his plane around and started heading back, all of a sudden the skies cleared. There was no storm, no lightning, no rain. It was clear. It was a beautiful day. He carried on, and when he got to the airbase, he looked down to find a completely brand new active airbase, full with bright yellow planes and mechanics wearing blue overalls. Now, this was weird for a couple of reasons. Military bases, with their planes, they were painted silver, not yellow, and their uniforms were khaki green, standard military issue. So all this was very weird. He decided he wasn't going to make touchdown. He turned his plane back around and made his way back to let everybody know what they saw. Obviously, nobody believed him. Why would you? Like, it's not possible. He's obviously, I don't know, done too many flying hours. So, they let it go. 4 years later, in war-torn Europe, he visited the same place before in Drem in Edinburgh, only to find everything exactly as he saw it 4 years earlier. Everything. The bright yellow planes, the mechanics in uniform. I mean, how else do you explain knowing this information 4 years before? It's very bizarre. Moving on to number 4. Now, if you think knowing something 4 years before it happened is bizarre, how about 11 years? This is the story of Bernard Hutton and his photographer, who were newspaper reporters back in 1932. They were sent on an assignment to do a everyday run-of-the-mill news story about a shipyard in Hamburg. When they were there, I mean, how exciting can a story about a shipyard be, really? I don't know. But while they were there, everything went to plan. As they were leaving, again, I mean, these stories sound pretty familiar. As they're leaving, started driving away, suddenly they both hear the sound. Now, this is both of them. Both hear the sound of aircrafts, like distinctive bomber plane aircrafts coming over. And as they look, bombs start dropping. The anti-aircraft on the ground starts firing. The place become a war zone. Buildings are collapsing. People are dying and screaming and shooting. And you could just imagine what's going down. These men didn't run. Oh no, they ran back to the shipyard to see if they could help anybody, if they could, do something. Only to be told by the security guard to turn around and go home. Just leave. What can you do? They got back in the car and drove the opposite direction. As they were driving, they then turned around to look back and saw that the skies were clear. Everybody on the street wasn't panicked. Nobody was screaming. Suddenly the noise had gone away. They looked at the shipyard and it was back to normal. No buildings collapsing, no bombs dropping, no guns going off. Just normal. Obviously, same as the aircraft pilot. They go back to their boss. I was going to say their commander. They ain't got a commander. They're in a newspaper. They go back to their boss and they tell everybody this story. Like I say, this is two people giving the exact same account. What did they say to him? You must have stopped for a drink on the way. Nobody believed him. Everybody just thought they'd had a few and that was it. 11 years later, in 1943, they opened the newspaper to find the exact story that they had seen. They saw the story about the shipyard that had been bombed, and the buildings looked exactly how they did when they saw them. Everything was exactly as they saw them. How do you explain that? I mean, I bet their newspaper boss, reporter guy, I don't know what the name is. I should look up the names for these. I don't know what he's called, but can you imagine being that man 11 years later and being like, damn, I should have listened to those guys. And now for my number 3. This is the man from Torrid. I think that's how they're saying it, Torrid. In July 1954, a man who is described to be Caucasian with a beard and French arrived at Tokyo's International Airport. He hands his passport over to be stamped, and the guy at the desk, he looks at it and it seems all official except for one thing. It was issued in Torrid. This isn't a real country. So the man was taken for questioning. And during questioning, the guy is genuinely confused. He doesn't understand what the issue is. He tells them that Torrid is a real country. How do they not know what this country is? He was getting really confused. The guys that were questioning were getting continually frustrated. Nobody knew what was going on. So the man said, give me a map, I will show you where Torrid is. And he points to the place which is between France and Spain. Now he tells them that this country has been there for at least 1,000 years. The part that he points to is actually Andorra. This just confuses the poor guy further. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. How can a country that's been there for more than 1,000 years not be there? It's impossible. So the guy gets arrested and taken to a hotel room until they can figure this out, because nobody knows what the hell is going on. He's saying Torrid's real. Everybody knows Torrid's not a real country. I mean, this guy was an intelligent man. He could not only speak Japanese, French, he was fluent in many languages. This wasn't just a silly guy trying to pass something off. All these documents were examined and they were found to be real. So, they wanted to do further investigation. Nobody knew what on earth was going on. So they locked him in a hotel room with 2 guards standing at the front. Now, this hotel room was many, many floors up. He could not get out of this hotel room. If he jumped out of a window, he would have died and would have been noticed. So they guard the door and leave him there until they can come back the next day and do some more investigating. Only trouble is, they came back the next day only to find his hotel room empty. Every piece of documentation he had, gone. Any items of clothing, evidence, everything was gone. And this guy was never ever heard of again. Like, what the hell happened? Is this time travel? Is there going to be a country called Torrid? Or was this, another theory is a parallel universe. Did he slip through the parallel universe where Andorra is actually Torrid? I don't know. I mean, these stories just get more bizarre. In at number 2, this is something we all would love to be able to do if time travels exist. Saying that, this is probably why the general public is allowed to time travel. This is the story of Andrew Carson back on the 21st of January 2003. He was arrested for insider trading on the Wall Street. Now, here's the thing. This guy started with $800 and in a matter of weeks accumulated $350 million. Now, come on. You can't say you wouldn't. I totally would do this if I could. So they've arrested him because obviously he must be up to something. He must have inside information. There must be something. Nobody has ever been able to do this. He must know something or be up to something dodgy. It's not right. So they've arrested him. They've interrogated him. There is no evidence that this guy has done anything wrong, other than everything that he put his money on turned to gold. It was just amazing what this guy managed to do. Now, under interrogation, the only explanation that this guy gave was that he was a time traveller from the year 2256. Obviously, the police didn't believe him. But with no evidence, what can you do? They released him on bail. Surprise, surprise, the guy vanished. Of course you would. I mean, with that amount of money, this is what went through my head. With that amount of money, of course you can vanish. Anyone can vanish with that amount of money. And I also thought maybe he was a hacker. You know, I mean, there's some pretty good guys out there that can just hack anything. But can you, being a hacker, does that... You wouldn't be able to predict stuff, you know? I don't know. I get lost in my thoughts with this one. I don't know. But the guy vanished, never to be seen again. Now, it's okay thinking that he was a hacker or he knew something, but the one thing about this fella that really strikes me is he predicted the exact date of the US invasion of Iraq. How did he do that? A hacker wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. I don't care how much money you've got. You wouldn't know that. So I don't know. That's why I think that guy, you know, if he was just a Joe Bloggs who found out how to time travel and did that, well done to him. I mean... yeah, well done. And here we are at number 1. Now, this story, I was going to say is bizarre, but really and truly, they're all a bit bizarre. Like, how can... yeah, this story. So let me just tell you. His name is Hawkin Nordkist. I hope I've said that right. He's a 36-year-old man, and on the 30th of August 2006, claims to have met himself. His older version of himself. So let me just tell you, he comes in from work and the kitchen floor is flooded. So, you know, he thinks, oh great, here we go, we need to fix the sink. So he gets all his tools together, slings his phone in his back pocket and goes under the sink. Except according to him, when he goes under the sink, it doesn't stop. Like, he keeps going further and further. I mean, Narnia, we're talking Narnia cupboards. He just basically goes through this cupboard and keeps going until there's a bright light and he's able to stand up. Here is where he says he met his old version of himself. Now, as you can imagine, nobody's going to believe him, but he thinks, I know, I've got my phone on me, as you do. Pulls out his phone and he films, and there's some footage of him with his older self. Now, it really does look like an older version of himself, and they even have matching tattoos. And the older guy, you know, his tattoo looks weathered, as it would with time, you know. He just looks like an older version of him. I mean, I guess it could be anybody, but I mean, this is a little bit of video footage. Just have a quick look at this.
Med mobilen så jag kunde filma det. Ja, vi stod där och tjafsade lite och ja, det var riktigt god känsla var det. Hur gött som helst.
I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I would love to think that was true. How amazing would that be? And he says that he knew that it was his older version of himself because he could tell him information that nobody else would know. I mean, how amazing. If that's true, how amazing. I don't know. As I said before, I would love to I would love to time travel. I'd love to have that ability. And hopefully, you know, who knows, one day in the future, maybe, I don't know, another 1,000 odd years, we'd be able to do that. I don't know. But yeah, let me know. I'm interested in this. Let me know in the comments if you think time travel is real. If you could go anywhere, where would it be? What would you do and why? This is something I'd love to know. I just find it fascinating. It's really interesting. So once again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. And I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to pray to God. I'm not really going to pray to God. I'm just hoping I'm going to be able to get you another one out next week. I'm going to try and get back to it. I kind of enjoy doing this countdown style thing, so maybe I'll do a couple of these just to ease myself back into it and then get stuck back into my true crime. I hope you've all enjoyed it once again, and I'll see you all next week.